Hello, welcome to the Hazard Identification Assessment and Control course. Hazard Identification Assessment and Control is the foundational element of health and safety. In fact, hazard assessment is what every single activity in health and safety is built on. Conducting a hazard assessment is also, believe it or not, a legal and mandatory requirement in most jurisdictions. Further to that, it also just makes good business sense to be aware of the hazards your workers are exposed to so you can be conscious of the risk your business faces. One needs to keep in mind, though, that hazard identification and assessment is often done wrong, or parts of the process are completed in error. This, of course, sometimes skews everything. If you don't get it right the first time, your whole entire safety program can suffer. In fact, not identifying and controlling hazards correctly can lead to problems with many of the other elements of your safety management system. Take hazard reporting and corrective action, for instance. Think about that. It can also cause you to have problems with your inspections or how you even correct deficiencies found in your inspections. Of course, not correctly identifying hazards can lead to an increased amount of incident reporting, which of course can lead to more incident investigations. So what I've done is I've created this course to help you, the viewer, the safety professional, the person tasked with health and safety, to better understand the process of hazard identification, hazard assessment for risk, and of course, hazard control. Now, the course is split up into 6 sections, or sessions if you will. The first session is, what is a hazard? This section actually helps the participant actually know what a hazard is. People often confuse consequences with hazards. They often confuse the impetus with the hazards, which of course can confuse the whole entire process. On that note, though, the second session or lesson is called Understanding Risk and Consequence. Now, similar to the confusion I mentioned in the previous session, these two, risk and consequence, often get confused as well. Sometimes people will mistake risk and consequence together, which of course can be confusing when you're trying to prioritize hazards and of course consider what you need to control first. Next, we'll cover assessing for risk. In this session, which is aptly named Assessing for Risk, because you can't just say there's risk. After all, how much risk is there? How bad is this risk? Similar to what I just mentioned, this session will help you to prioritize what hazards to control first. You don't necessarily want to go after that low-hanging fruit first. In fact, you want to prioritize and look after the worst-case scenarios, the most hazardous situations first, and of course correct them. It's important to note, though, identifying and assessing risk is only part of the equation. In the next section, we're going to talk about controls. This session is of course called Understanding Controls, which in turn will give you a better understanding of controls and how we as safety professionals prioritize controls using what's called the hierarchy of controls. Now, I know this may seem like a slow process, but understanding the process is essential because inappropriately or incorrectly identifying hazards will often result to poorly implemented controls, and as a further result, the hazard is either still present or inadequately controlled, giving you a false sense of security. Now, the next session is where we're going to put it all together. It's called the formal hazard assessment. This process has been given many names in many jurisdictions, and of course, in many different occupations. It's been called things like the job hazard assessment, the job hazard analysis, the job safety analysis, and even, well, the formal hazard assessment. In this session, I'm simply going to refer to it as the formal hazard assessment or the formal job hazard assessment. You can call it whatever you want, but this is where we're going to put it all together. Identifying the hazards, assessing them for risk, and basically quantifying the risk, which of course is followed by implementing controls. Now, in this session, I'll also be reviewing 2 types of hazard assessments. I'll introduce a simple hazard assessment and an intermediate hazard assessment. It's going to be up to you to pick which best suits you for your situation and your organization. And of course, there's going to be templates on the learning platform that you can download and use to conduct your hazard assessment or to springboard you to adapt to your own organization. Now, sorry you folks on YouTube, if you want the templates, you're going to have to go to the learning platform. Yes, pay the money to download those templates. However, if you want to avoid the really reasonable cost of $25 Canadian, feel free to look around though to some of my older videos. There's templates available in the descriptions of those videos as well. Now, finally rounding up this session is going to be, or maybe finally rounding up the course and finishing the course off is going to be a session on the different types of hazard assessments and when they might be used. I hate to break it to you. Actually, no, I don't. Not at all. But it's not one size fits all. Just as there are many types of job settings, there's different types of hazard assessments. And we'll talk about them in this session. And this session is aptly named Different Types of Hazard Assessments. Now, each session or lesson that you're going to take will consist of a video lesson and a short quiz. There'll be some other materials that you can use for further reading and links to other videos on my channel or other resources, but it's important to remember the two mandatory sections that must be completed are the video lesson and the short quiz in order to move on to the next session. Once all 6 sessions are completed, you'll be able to print out a certificate that says you've completed the course. Once again, as I said, each section will have some supplementary information such as templates and additional text, and some links to more useful information. Now, here's the good news. If you're already on the learning platform and watching this video, once it's complete, you can move to the next session and continue with the course. Once you complete all 6 modules, once again, you'll achieve a certificate. For those of you that are on YouTube and not sure if you want to pull the trigger and pay the $25, and that's 25 Canadian, I might add, then you can watch each video as they launch each week. And have a look at the shorts library on the channel, and there's a bunch of quizzes that are similar to what's going to be on the learning platform. The only difference, there's no certificate, no supplementary material. However, the knowledge is there for you should you want it. Now, if you all of a sudden have a change of mind, there's always going to be a link in the description of each video to go to the learning platform. And if you go head over and take the course. Also, in the description of this video down below, and this is if you're on YouTube, there's a link to a video on my channel that has a 30% coupon code embedded in it.
You should check it out.
You might want to go check that video out. Now, if you haven't subscribed already, I suggest you hit that little subscribe button right down here and ding the little bell, and you'll get notified of new videos coming in the course each time one drops, which is going to be at the end of each week. Okay, so for those of you that are on the learning platform, when this video is over, by all means, just cruise over to the margin and you can click the next video and start into your next session. In fact, the next session is What is a Hazard? Now, for the rest of you that are on YouTube, you might want to have a look at this video up here. Just remember, safety leadership is about understanding that safety is not just a one and done. It requires continuous review and continuous improvement. Stagnation in a safety program is a dangerous thing. So be a safety leader and always look forward, but with an eye on the rear view as well. Okay? Take care. Bye for now.